and welcome to the Daily Space Weather. More sunspots rising here. We're going to see the sunspot number go up even higher. I don't think many have evaporated. Let's get to it. We're going to show you a bunch of composite imagery today. It's pretty spectacular. This is 171 and 304 angstroms from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Lots of sunspots, not a lot of flares. A coronal mass ejection to cover. Here are the magnetic fields in colorized magnetogram. Again, more sunspots rising. We've lost count. Let's zoom out to show the full disk before we show some 1700 angstroms. This umbra down here has been migrating a little bit. That could increase the probability of solar flares from this region right here. And let's take a look at some close-ups here. Here's the northern hemisphere. We've got sunspots in the north. And we've got lots of sunspots in the south. And the official sunspot number is in the hundreds. Here's another composite. This is 131 and 94 angstroms. The two best wavelengths for observing solar flares. There is a C-class flare in there. It came from this new active region down here. It's also a sunspot. It's only alpha class. The likelihood of additional flares from that, not all that high as far as I can tell. The radio flux is leveled out a bit here at 121 solar flux units. There's the 1 year chart of that. The black line is the radio flux. Yeah, the upper chromosphere and lower corona emit radio frequency, and it coincides quite proportionally with sunspot number, as you can see from this graph. The red line is the sunspot number. So according to the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, there is some geomagnetic unrest forecasted here on the solstice, actually. We're only 2 days from the solstice. Little geomagnetic unrest there, likely from the coronal hole that's now facing the Earth. We'll show you that in a minute. First global seismicity. There was a 6.0 magnitude earthquake. It was this one down here at the South Sandwich Islands. That one happened yesterday. There were some 5 magnitude quakes. It's a bit of a seismic uptick here, really, folks. Although no other major quakes besides that 6.0. They're calling it the Prince Edward Islands region. Oh yeah, that's not the South Sandwich Islands. That's the Prince Edward Islands region. They're directly south of the African Rift Zone, south of South Africa there in the... Really, it's the border between the Indian and Southern Oceans. No tsunami alerts issued for that. So there's a 5.1 in Vanuatu. There was a 5.5 in China. I think there may be some fault lines out there folks aren't too aware of. Let's don't worry about it. Also a 5.3 at India. Some deep quakes like this 4.4 at the Kuril Islands, south of the Kamchatka Peninsula, north of Japan. South Sandwich Islands are still shaken, though. There was a 5.0 there. Bolivia saw a deep quake at over 200 kilometers estimated depth, as well as Chile. Also the same magnitude there, 4.5, 137 kilometers depth. Santiaguito's been erupting. That's it from the 17th. Some incandescent lava flow happening there. Lava bombs, etc. Let's see what else has been going off. In terms of volcanoes, Subanosejima exploded. Produced a 9,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Luotolo, 8,000-foot plume of volcanic ash over the Lesser Sunda Islands from Luotolo. Santiaguito, we just showed you that. Earthquakes occurring since December 11th. So over a week of activity there. Santiaguito now producing a nearly 15,000-foot plume of ash. Please don't fly your ultralight aircraft over Santiaguito. Fuego, located in Guatemala, exploding, flight level 150. It's a 15,000-foot volcanic plume of ash. Nevado del Ruiz also exploding. 23,000-foot ash plume over Colombia from Nevado del Ruiz. Sangay exploding, flight level 200, 20,000-foot volcanic ash plume over Ecuador from Sangay. An additional one over that same country from Revenador, 15,000-foot ash plume as Revenador explodes. Sabancaya sporadic emissions are a reminder not to pole vault the caldera. Do visit our links and support the channel. pick up some Christmas gifts, perhaps. I don't know if you can get them in time for Christmas now or not. This is the Galactic Special Forces, where we implore you all to cite the motto of the Galactic Special Forces, Universum Liberate. Since you're viewing this video on the internet, you can probably figure out what it means by looking it up. It's in the Latin language. Universum Liberate. To quote Geddy Lee of Rush, I'm not sure if he wrote that song or if that was Neil Peart. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. What a hot design. If you want to support the channel via our own subscription services, check out smashomash.com/smashteam. Additional free publicly visible posts through the new year. Thanks to everybody who's been supporting the content. We just launched it in October officially. If you want to hear about our mission, you can check it out at smashomash.com/forum. At the bottom of the page, there's a link to it, smashomash.com. smashomash.com/forum/mission. And it's to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. Many people aren't aware of the connection between Earth weather and space effects. To connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, hence videos like this, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, like telling you which bike to put in your prepping supplies, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner. We're getting to it. To assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon, to optimize value and reduce risk and liability and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is, and to not be ossified in our beliefs, and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. Because if you're ossified in your beliefs, you're not doing science. So welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Support the channel via a like, a share, tell your friends and foes. Share the content on Facebook. That's a great way to get banned, I guess. And congratulations on everybody who's been censored on the internet. It's probably like 80% of the population has now been censored by ridiculous algorithms and crap. That's why we created our own website. And that's why we run websites like smashamash.com. Today we've brought up the 7-day magnetometer readings because we are seeing some tighter ranges here with higher highs and higher lows. More like just a tighter range, actually, in the past 3 days. At least higher lows there, certainly for the last 3 days. Normally we show the 3-day graph on the daily space weather videos. Here's the polarity of the heliospheric current sheet, and you can see Earth is in a South Pole one. The plasma coming out of the sun is aligned to one of the polar fields, and the one that the Earth is currently in is South Pole oriented. There is a North Pole one headed this way, it looks like. But we've got to continue to watch what's going on the eastern limb of the sun to have a forecast for that, but that's the current data. Here's the line of sight view. It also shows you the solar magnetogram, and look at all the sunspots right in the Earth-facing zone. There's also a coronal hole in the north. And here's your line of sight coronal hole plot. It is a South Pole-oriented coronal hole in the northern hemisphere, meaning it's transequatorial. Those are the most geo-effective type of coronal holes. It's sending protons directly toward Earth at the moment. This coronal hole right here is what we're talking about. And we've got a great solar angry face here at the moment. And let's continue on. A lot of sunspot groups. I counted 8 when I did show prep. Likelihood of major flares still very high. Solar flare warning in effect. We've got massive sunspots facing the Earth, as you can see here. Frankly, it's a little bit too busy to even try to name them. But I clearly see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 named groups at the moment. Here's the solar flaring over the past 3 days, and nothing even in the M-class range except just falling off of the graph here. There was a minor M-class flare. Don't be surprised to see additional M or even X-class flares from these sunspots. So expect radio blackouts. These sunspots have been underperforming Don't expect it to continue. No spikes in the proton flux, although we may see some. If we see a major flare right in the Earth-facing zone, chances are relativistic particles will get here if we see an X flare out of that massive group of sunspots facing the Earth. Real-time solar wind just kicked up. It looks like a minor coronal mass ejection strike, actually, there. You see the solar wind speed and density jumping up at the same time, as well as a shift in the BTBZ, the total field, and the orientation to one pole or the other, which is what the BTBZ is. Also a change in the plasma temperature, which is this lower frame. So current conditions are slightly elevated from yesterday here at about 374 kilometers a second for the solar wind velocity. Solar wind density about 12 protons per cubic centimeter. Nothing too crazy. KP index has been at 0 for the past 12 hours. And let's take a look at cosmic ray flux. So here's the apatity neutron monitor. You can see a small uptick here at apatity over the past 30 days in cosmic ray flux. And at Barentsburg, flat over the past 30 days at Barentsburg. Let's go farther south to Athens, Greece, to look at another reliable cosmic ray monitor. This neutron monitor in Athens showing a minor uptick as well, similar to the apatity. Let's go farther south to Mexico City. There's the Mexico City Cosmic Ray Observatory, flat over the past 30 days there. And let's go back north to Oulu, Finland. There's Oulu, Finland. We'll also show you DOMB and DOMC Antarctica. So Oulu's showing a similar uptick here to apatity, maybe even a larger uptick than apatity. DOMB Antarctica, so some missing data there for the past 30. DOMC a little bit more reliable there, flat over the past 30 days at DOMC. And let's continue on to show you no Geospace Magnetosphere movies. They are busted, as far as I can tell. Let us know in the comments if you can get these to load. Geospace Magnetosphere movies page is busted at the moment. It was showing me like 20 minutes of data yesterday, not 4 hours as it usually does. As you can see, it's just not loading there. And neither are the ground magnetic perturbations. This is probably caused by communications breakdowns as a result of electron flux. We'll get to that toward the end of the video. First, I've been hearing a lot of nonsense in the comments about planetary alignments. And let me just explain something, folks. The planets aren't going to kill you. Planetary alignments, when you look up in the sky and you see planets aligned in the sky, it doesn't mean that they are aligned in the solar system. So take a look. Do you see a planetary alignment? Planetary alignments from the perspective of Earth are not scary in any way. So stop with the fright about planets. Planets aren't going to kill you. Anyway, let's do a 1 week forecast moving into the solstice, moving into winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. Here we are 5 days into winter, 7 days from now on the 26th, the day after Christmas. So here's what I think people are talking about. Planets being aligned in the sky. Oh, Uranus, the Moon, Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus all in the sky at the same time. They're no place near each other in the solar system, as you can see here. So stop with the nonsense about scary, spooky planets. It's just visually stimulating. That's the astronomy picture of the day at apod.nasa.gov. We moved it to this section of the video because we've got no cosmology segment on today's daily space weather. So make sure you check our playlists, youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. And let's move on. Here's a star chart, and the sun has just risen here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. It's just crossed the galactic plane as it makes its trip across the sky on the ecliptic, which is this yellow line. The blue line there is the galactic plane. That's our star chart, what's going on over our head at the moment. And let's take a look at a coronal mass ejection that we spotted yesterday. We streamed it live on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/smashamash. Here's the view from Lagrange Point 1 at the LASCO C3. So a great view here of this coronal mass ejection from the zoomed out SOHO LASCO C3 coronagraph. And we don't think any ejecta, or at least a very small amount of ejecta at the most, is headed toward Earth. It certainly looks like it's missing well off to the east and a bit to the south as well. But a great CME captured there. We caught it on the NASA Ghost 16 SUVI on our Twitch channel yesterday. We saw it happen, so we streamed live for 18 hours yesterday. You can see some great footage of that there at twitch.tv/smashamash. Again, check our playlists, youtube.com/smashamash/playlists for hundreds of cosmology segments. Next, looking at charging hazards, we don't see any, but we do see continued chaos in the electron content. We'll show you it in a minute. First, the one-year chart of the relativistic electrons as measured by the GOES-16 and GOES-17. That's measured at the F-ionosphere layer by geosynchronous satellites, these two. And they're in a geosynchronous orbit, but they're using radiography to measure the electron flux down at about 300 kilometers where the F layer is located. That's 3 days of GOES electron flux by the GOES-16 and 17. Here's the electron forecast model. We are expecting an uptick here in the coming days. That may come sooner than later. I won't argue with the NOAA forecast. We'll just show the total electron content forecast. Here it is. And we're seeing additional chaos here. So again, expect massive GPS errors over North America, the Central Pacific, and really some unexpected, very high electron content counts here. So some of these electrons are a little bit out of place, folks. Check it out, major GPS errors over large portions of the Pacific Ocean, North America, Antarctica at unexpected times. I'll let it play through one more time. So continued chaos here in the total electron content. When your GPS satellite has to communicate through a lot of electrons, you can get thousands of miles of errors on your GPS. Next, the F-ionosphere layer. Here's your ionogram showing you vibrational frequency. And you'll see anomalies in the same places as you see those electron flux anomalies. If you know what you're looking at because you watch the videos daily, this might make sense, and if not, it might not make sense. This is one of these data sets that if you don't immerse yourself in, you won't understand. Activity around the Drake Passage. One of the weirdest parts of the planet is this area right here, folks. The Drake Passage is the place where if you have a high in the Pacific and a low in the Atlantic, you have a massive amount of water that wants to rush through the Drake Passage. And it's probably the most dangerous portion of open ocean in the world, as the Atlantic and Pacific attempt to reach static equilibrium. Anyway, here's the anomalygram. This is showing you anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. And let's bring up the latest images. There's 1300 universal time on the ionogram, and there's 1300 on the anomalygram. Let's do bonus features. And the first bonus feature is Cerro Tololo's ground-based solar observatory. And yowzers, look at how many sunspots. It's berserk. It's like solar maximum conditions, and it looks like we see some additional activity kicking off right over here. A CME happening once again while we make the video, it looks like. Let's take a look at the GOES-16 SUVI to verify that. So it's supposed to be new data here. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. That's from 1312. And this one making it up to about 1314. So that's interesting. Looks like a coronal mass ejection certainly happening once again, but not showing up on the GOES-16 SUVI. Let's take a look at the high-res intensitygram and magnetograms. Again, this new sunspot forming at a different latitude here. So that's an alpha class one. That's not likely to produce major flares. That one looks like it's degraded a little bit also. In fact, they've all actually shrunk a little bit since yesterday. That's certainly a beta class. That's an alpha class now, so maybe a little bit less likelihood of solar flares, but a more likelihood of earthly implications if there are any. And check out how much magnetic organization is going on. Quite significant magnetic uptick there, especially in the southern hemisphere. Take a look at this new sunspot. And we'll zoom back out. And we'll show you one more composite image here. These images, again from the SDO, this is 335 and 211 angstroms, which is what gives it that purplish tone. 335 is like a blue color, sort of a deep blue color. There's some great imagery here showing you the depth of this coronal hole as well as the brightness of the active regions. Thanks for tuning in. May that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted. Name it news.